Good evening, folks. Welcome to episode 13 of Tea and Type, your time to chill and make words. I am MK England, and with me, as always, my lovely co-host.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jamie Packton. Happy Halloween. We are in our not so spooky but fabulous costumes tonight. So, want to tell us about your costume, MK?
I mean, I'm doing my lazy costume that I always do. I have my my Ravenclaw robes here, represent. And that's what I always wear when I am trying not to buy new things. I'm probably moving in a month, so I'm trying not to spend money or acquire more random things. So reusing the same robes, yes. How about you, Jamie?
Ravenclaw. I'm a little meta tonight, right? See my button, and then right. I'm Rosie the Riveter.
Yes.
And
yes,
I'm loving
very fitting for your writing.
Right, and it's
I love it.
So, thanks. All right, and so tonight we're talking nano. So you want to start us out by telling everybody what that is, if they don't know?
Sure. Yeah. So if you have somehow not heard of NaNoWriMo, it's short for National Novel Writing Month. It happens every year in November, and it is a challenge to write 50,000 words in a month. So 50,000 words from November 1st to November 30th. If you are under 18, you can participate in the Young Writers Program and set your own writing goal. So that's always an option too. But a lot of people, even if they don't want to take on the full 50,000 word NaNoWriMo challenge, they use November as a time to focus in on their writing. So that's what we'd like to encourage all of you to do tonight. But for those of you who are planning to do the full 50,000 word challenge, we'd like to share with you some tips tonight on our own experiences with NaNoWriMo, some tips on fast drafting and just how to survive this whole process.
Yeah, and I was just looking at my phone. I always do this at the start of Nano. I wouldn't say I love math, but I love sorting things into manageable chunks. That's the story of my life.
Yes.
And so if you're going to do 50,000 words over 30 days, that's about 1,667 words a day, which is really quite doable. I think, hearing 50,000 words in a month is daunting, but I think 1,600, 1,700 words a day is really not that much if you get a good flow.
And you don't have to do it all in one sitting either. You can write a little at breakfast, you can write a little on your lunch break, you can get a chunk done in the evening, whatever works for you. Some people like to just get it done all at once and then, enjoy the rest of their free time for the evening. It's all up to what works for you. And some people don't write every day. You write 4,000 words in one day and then you take 2 days off.
Right. Or, there's people, this is not necessarily me. I've always dreamed of being this person who procrastinates all month and then at the end in the last 5 days writes 10,000 words a day and then they fall over and sleep for all of December. So, it's really how you do it. Oh, by the way, I'm drinking sport tea in a coffee mug as always. What you drinking?
Okay, right. Yeah, we just launched straight in. Hey guys, I've had a really bad day. So today it's cheap Merlot from the grocery store. Hi.
Your juice box. Nice. I like it. All right, so Nana, we know what it is. We know how the numbers break down. Let's talk about how have you done this past? How many years have you been doing this?
It's a little, I don't know. I don't have an exact number necessarily. I've been doing it every year since 2014 as a writer, like actually going for the goal and taking it seriously. 2014 was the year that I wrote The Disasters during NaNoWriMo, actually. And then I won again the next year. The year after that, which was last year, was horrible, and I didn't even break 30,000 words. This year I'm going to rock it. But for several years before that, I still engaged with NaNoWriMo as a librarian. I held events in my local libraries, and I would make like small half-hearted attempts. I'd get like 10,000 words in, and then go, this sucks, I hate everything, and scrap it all and never finish.
Yeah.
So how about you?
I came into this like all things writing. I was doing things on my own. So I tend to be a NaNoWriMo kind of girl insofar as I tend to draft quickly when I have an idea in mind. And so I was sort of doing it without knowing it. And then I had a friend post about it. And one thing that you sort of highlighted that I like so much about this November thing is that there's events and there's community things. And there's, if you're signed up for the list and the list in your area, And I must confess, I've never actually gone to an event, but I'm always quite charmed to get the emails that say, hey, you could do this and get together with other writers. And of course, that's what I love about Pitch Wars, and that's how we met. And I mean, other writers can be so nurturing, you know, and so good for your process. And so just to sit down and do writing sprints like you do with us, maybe, or, you know, that you might do with other friends, but Nano just gives you a big excuse to do that all month and, you know, not watch TV every night. So one, I think that's an important aspect of it too. It's not just, hey, you're going to write 50,000 words in a month. It's, hey, you can meet other writers and build a community and things like that. My experience is, I hate this notion of winning because I always lose Nano, because it always falls at a weird time for me with work and things. But I'm determined this year. I've got a novel to finish up, and so I may do, well, I think I need about a solid 50,000, maybe like 45. So, I mean, it's a good excuse. It falls at the time where I need it because I want this book done by the end of the year. So my experience in the past has been abject failure, but with a lot of striving and much praise for the many events.
Oh, I definitely feel you on the events. I think actually the community events are what finally pushed me into Nano success. Even though I had held them at the library, I was always working. Like, it was never something where I could just sit down and write. 2014, I got on NaNoWriMo.org. I made my profile. I interacted with my local region. And I found another writer who was hosting meetups at the local Books A Million. That writer ended up being Lisa Minetti, my writing wife, hello, who I adore. She's wonderful. Mwah. And we have been like best writing buddies ever since. So you really can connect with people through NaNoWriMo in a very real way that can impact your writing long term. So for me, it got me critique partners. It got my butt in the chair to write the book that eventually became my debut novel. I have such incredible fondness for NaNoWriMo because it's done so much for me. So I'm a big Nano champion. Like, yes, go Nano.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I didn't know you met Liz. I didn't know you met her there. All right, so let's move on to tips then, okay? And I guess my first tip would be, as with all things writing, I'm not particularly a pantser, so go in with a plan. If you're going to write 50,000 words in a month, be clear on what you're actually working on, and perhaps, you know, outline as much as you can. Like, I have a pretty clear direction of where I'm going. Do you do that? Do you plan before the month? I think you've got some big plans, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, no matter when I'm writing, I have to plan. If I go in without any kind of outline or something, then I'm just going to wander around aimlessly for 20,000 words and end up scrapping it. I've been there. I've done that. It doesn't work for me. Some people can be total pantsers, and like, good for y'all. It does not work for me at all. I'm a big fan of the long, shitty synopsis, where I just ramble out what's happening in the book for, you know, like a good 6 pages or something. It's just, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and this character does this. And once I get to that point, I know I can just sit down and write the book, and I know I'm going to have a successful fast draft if I can get to that point.
Yeah, because you're just basically, you know, narrativizing what you've written in your shitty synopsis. And yeah, I think that's super helpful. I can attest to how long the synopses are of yours. I was reading one the other day. I was like, oh, they're walking down the hallway.
Yep.
It should be noted that you need to, not you, but one of our other tips, edit that synopsis down before you send it out to anyone. 1 to 2 pages. But, you know, actually that's interesting because I tend to write 1 to 2 page synopsis with that in mind for the longer goal, you know, like sending to an agent or something. And then I'm like, oh gosh, I don't even know what happens here. And so I think that longer, just kind of like get it out there synopsis is a great idea. Do you write your first page before November 1st?
I do. That is really like my biggest advice to anyone, is to get like the fear of the blank page out of the way before November 1st even starts. Like, by NaNoWriMo rules, you can't count that first page towards your word count. But for me, like, I just need to know that I have that character's voice solid in my head. Because then I can just go. I just need to make sure that I know who they are and how they talk and everything before I start writing, or else that's going to soak up like the good first 2 hours or so of my NaNoWriMo time. And that time is valuable. So if I'm going to have any chance of hitting the goal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going in with 26,000 words written, so I know where I'm going. I just need to get through the rest. But yeah. So what happens when you win? Do you get prizes? Do you get money?
I
Do you get
mean,
a book
not
that sells
really.
as in your debut?
I mean, for me, like 3 years later, it became that. I don't know. I just like watching the bar turn purple on NaNoWriMo.org. I really recommend that everybody go to NaNoWriMo.org and make an account because it's really satisfying. Like, I update my word count there like several times per day. Every time I add words, I go there because I just like watching they have like a nice,
It's about
helpful
like
little line graph. I like
Mhm.
watching the graph happen. I don't know. I'm a data person. I
Those
like
are
seeing the
things you can
numbers happen.
control, right? I agree with you on
Yes.
that.
And then like it's blue the whole time while it's going up and then you win and it turns purple and like the website's excited for you. And I mean, technically you get access to some like minor prizes. Like you get 50% off Scrivener writing software is one of the ones that's there every year. Highly recommend Scrivener, by the way. So it's a good time to get into that. And then, you know, some discounts on other things, coupons, stuff like that. But like, that's not the point. I want the shiny purple bar.
You're doing it for the stickers. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Any other tips? What other tips do you have? I know you have more.
Yeah. So I have to aim for that halfway point, the 25K, because that first, like, okay, here's how, at least for me, writing every single book goes. Like, yeah, I totally know what I'm doing. This is great. It's going so well. Oh my God, everything is terrible. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. No, 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 no. And then if I can just like push through that part and get to halfway, then I'm like, man, I'm halfway done. It's
Keep
just
going
all downhill
good.
from here,
Right.
you know?
Which of course
It's
is the advice Joan gave us like a couple episodes ago, right? To write
it's
towards the
true.
middle. So yeah.
Yeah, I had never actually thought of writing toward the middle plot point. I had always thought of it as a numbers game. Like, please just let me get to 25,000 words, and then after that, it just feels so much closer.
Right.
So I definitely recommend getting to that point.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to recommend just being okay writing a terrible book. It can be terrible as long as it's words on the page. Like so much of writing is revision and editing. And if you give yourself I mean, right, Stephen King says this, we've talked about this, the permission to write a shitty first draft, like then you've learned so much about your world and your story. And then you can spend the next month revising and editing, and then another month sending it to readers. And you know, in 2 or 3 months, you'll have a really, well, maybe more, depending, but in a couple months or a year, I mean, you'll have a product. But I think just having that bulk of words down is something to make you feel successful and also know your story better. So yeah, but give yourself permission for it to be terrible.
Definitely. And I think, you know, my first time ever writing a book, I sort of wrote it NaNoWriMo style, but in February. I seem to write all my books NaNoWriMo style, no matter what time of year it is. And for that first book, I always say like all that book was terrible, but it proved to me that I could write a book.
Yeah.
I just needed to know that I could actually sit down and write that many words. And then I thought that was it. But no, like every single book I write, I have to prove to myself over again that I can get that many words out and like form it into a book-shaped thing. So I think that is really the ultimate goal of NaNoWriMo for me, is to just like get that bookish thing out, and then I can work on molding it later on. But
Yeah.
you know, that word count can feel so insurmountable to me.
Every
And you
time.
know, just helps with that so
Every
much.
time. Like
Every time.
it doesn't matter. First book, I think I'm writing my seventh, eighth book now. I mean, like I'm still sitting there like, oh God, it's excruciating to type out 1,000 words. And I love it when I'm doing it, but you know,
Yeah,
it's
it's rough.
yeah. So, and it's
Hmm.
stupid because this is what we do, but somehow the act, both physically and like just it's not even the creation because some of that happens in your head beforehand. It's just this translation from your brain to the page that I find excruciating and also kind of fun, but yeah. I
Well,
wonder if
I
it's
think one
different
of
for
the
people
things
who
that
like, well, go ahead.
Well, yeah, one of the things that helps me with that excruciating feeling, because I absolutely know what you mean. I use placeholders as I'm writing to try and keep up the momentum, because the things that are the worst when you're in the middle of writing is you're like going along and you're going along and then you just hit something that's like a roadblock. And
Yeah.
it can be something as simple as like, oh no, I don't have a name for this character yet.
Oh, yeah.
Or it can be something like, crap, I need to research this really elaborate thing that I don't know anything about. So I'm a fan of the @ symbol because I don't write fiction that has a lot of email addresses in it. So it's easy to just hit Control F and use the find feature later on to go find all of my placeholders. So I just do like @ symbol dude number 1, you know, @ symbol research this later. And that keeps me moving. But I'm like secure in the knowledge that I will go back and fix that later because I know exactly where it is.
I'm just laughing because I read one of your drafts that still had that in there, and I was like, "What is going on?" It was like the first book I ever read for you. You know, I have a friend too who she writes out of order. So she'll have a sense of the entire book, and she'll write a scene here and a scene there. And I tend to write, you know, linearly. But you don't have to do that either. Like placeholders are a great idea if you don't know, like writing out a sequence if there's a scene you're really looking forward to. I mean, the word count is the word count, you know. I think find a way that works for you. But yeah, I'm going to try the placeholder tip, I think, for stuff that I'm just not sure on, because I do love me getting involved in some deep research to take away from the dreaded word count. Oh, I really get to look up. Yeah, exactly. And I think the last thing is reward yourself, right? Don't just rely on the word count. Like take yourself out to dinner, or I take myself out for writing dates once a week, and it's great. Like just go get coffee at my favorite coffee house. Yeah, I mean,
I love the idea of that, a writing date with yourself.
I mean, it's also easy to get distracted. But I mean, this is a big deal, so reward yourself. I don't know, what are you going to do? Reward yourself with if you win Nano? Do anything?
You know, I haven't even thought that far ahead. I'm gonna buy a house, I guess, because we're theoretically supposed to close on this house on November 30th.
There you go.
So, I mean, I'm definitely gonna invest in some shiny star stickers for along the way. I'm gonna do a whole spread in my bullet journal of like the daily word count and give myself some gold stars along the way, because I don't know, I like stars, guys. So, I personally find stickers motivating. I don't know. Maybe I'll take myself out for my favorite mac and cheese or something at the end.
There you go. Live in the
dream about it. Yes. Look, you haven't had this mac and cheese, okay? Like the restaurant right by my house. I'm telling you, you're gonna have to come have some.
I'll be there in a minute. All right. Is that it for us, or?
I think so. You know, just a last note that, you know, like we said earlier, you can do this any time of the year. NaNoWriMo falls at a rough time for a lot of people. If you're a student, if you're a teacher, if you're really involved with your family around Thanksgiving or the lead up to the holidays, like November can kind of suck. But I definitely recommend doing NaNoWriMo for yourself in like January, February, July, you know, any month that is, you know, a little lighter load for you. Just give it a shot. See if you can fast draft a novel.
Well, there's a camp too, I think in May maybe or something.
They do it twice, April and July. So I definitely recommend the July one for anybody that's not a youth services librarian. July sucks, guys.
But yeah, I mean, that way you could just practice, or you can write 2 more novels this year if you want. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Great. Well,
recommendations.
Yes, recommendations. Okay. I actually do have one this week. Unfortunately, I returned the book to the library, so I can't like show it to you all shiny. But you can go over to my Instagram account. It's m.k.england on Instagram. I posted a picture of it. It's Princess Ever After by Katie O'Neill. It is adorable. It took me like 20 minutes to read on a Saturday morning, if that. The artwork is super sweet. I definitely recommend following the artist just for your daily dose of like awesome, cute art. And it's just a really sweet story with some really funny one-liners about one princess rescuing another princess from a tower, and they, you know, go on an adventure, and like spoiler alert, they get married at the end. So it's a really sweet book. I definitely recommend it. By Katie O'Neill, if I didn't say that.
Yeah, I'll bring that into my home. My son and I are reading Mega Princesses, the comic book, or Mega Princess, I don't know. So he's read it like 4 times. I'm slower on this. And I'm also reading a biography about, or not a biography, a history of salt. So, you know, that's pretty riveting.
Oh, I can't wait for our history lesson about salt on Tea and Type sometime.
I mean, I am storing up fun facts, but I actually decided to spare you tonight. Oh, but there's so many good things. Never mind.
Next week. We'll talk all about salt.
Okay, just one. Roman soldiers used to get paid in salt, right? And so if someone was worth their salt, then that's where that expression comes from. So
Har har.
So, I mean, according to the book. Anyways, so yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Awesome.
Yeah, so everybody, good luck with Nano and have a super spooky, fun Halloween. And we'll be back next week with a to be determined episode. But
Yeah, if you ever have suggestions on what you want to hear us talk about, just, give us a yell over on Twitter, use hashtag TNType to get in touch with us. And we are actually going to be on hashtag TNType right now-ish, doing a sprint until 10 p.m. So join us over there. Like I said, I recommend maybe using this time, this sprinting time to get that first page out of the way.
Yep.
See if you can get going on that. So today, this has been TNType, and let's head over and make some words together.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.